Hey everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of the PrimeTime Patriots podcast. I'm your host, Jake Mott. With me is Ryan Matson. Excited to get into it today.
Absolutely.
First thing we wanted to discuss was the decision that has rocked New England and the rest of the football world.
Yep.
Mac Jones being named the starter for the Patriots. Cam Newton shipped out, released, not sure if it was his decision or what. A lot of stuff going on in the NFL, a lot of people talking about this. Ryan, what's your opinion?
Honestly, I don't love it.
We need some context first.
I'm a
go ahead.
big Cam Newton fan, first and foremost. He went to Auburn, my favorite college. When he went to the Panthers, I was a big Panthers fan. Always a Patriots fan, though. But, when he came to the Pats, I was psyched about it.
It was big for you.
I know he didn't perform very well last year, and I think, I have my reasons for it, but we're not going to get into that right now. I know the competition this year with Mac was very tight, even all preseason, all training camp. But, I don't know, I feel like, he should have had the start for the few couple games to start the season. And let Mac take over after that, if it was that close.
I'd agree with you. I was thinking for a really long time. I kept saying if I had to put money down, I thought Cam was going to start.
Yeah, you
probably.
Me that
probably every
times.
single game. So, very surprised to see him and to see him get released. I can't help but think that the release thing, the only thing that makes sense is Cam.
I agree. I did because I think he is talented enough to still start in the league for sure.
I agree.
I think there's definitely quarterbacks he could start over. But,
I think we just played one last Sunday.
I
Daniel
agree.
Jones.
I agree.
Yeah, so there's places. I think Cam Newton is one of the best 32 talents in the
agree
league.
for sure. Yep.
There's a spot for him, but I do think straight up Mac Jones won this competition fair and square. I mean, the kid lit it up. Especially when there were 4 quarterbacks drafted before him. Everybody on draft night thought he was going number 3.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers bail out and go with Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
Jones falls all the way down to New England at 15. No trades involved. Even had the Bears jump up and grab Justin Fields.
That was surprising.
A couple picks before us, and we just sit at 15 where we were originally at.
Yep.
We took Mac Jones, and this kid has really, really shown a lot. Everybody else has really shown more or less what you'd expect.
Yeah.
These rookie guys. For him, his PFF grade, Pro Football Focus, 92.2, is actually leading all rookies right now. Zach Wilson's the next closest, like an 85 point something. Trey Lance way down there with a 50, something like that. But he is above those other 4 guys. And from the minute he took the field, I was actually there on the first preseason game against Washington. Everybody got on their feet immediately. And this kid responded by throwing a dart to Jacoby Myers, which actually just missed the mark. It was a little too low. But it's very, I'm going to avoid saying this as much as I can because I don't want to compare the two. But it was very Brady-esque in the sense where he threw it low where his guy was going to be safe, even though it was an open guy. And every snap after that for the rest of that game and even the 2 games after that, he's shown consistent control of the offense, and it's been growing week by week.
Yeah, I think that's why Pats fans like him so much. I think they bring a lot of similarities. He brings a lot of similarities to like a Brady type passer, and play like just a playmaker like that. He's not gonna get that scramble like Newton would. He's not gonna extend a play very much, but I think he's a good passer. He's shown that in college. Alabama, he led him to a title, and he blew out Ohio State. I think he's definitely a solid QB.
So you were in favor of Cam, though. What are some reasons you felt Cam deserved? You said shaky last year at best.
Yep.
Had some faltering moments.
Yeah.
What made you want to go with Cam from what you saw these first 3 preseason weeks and from last year to where he should get the start this year?
I think this preseason, Mac did seem a little better, I would say, but I don't know. I feel like Newton also didn't get as much time as he did, and I think, maybe that's a timing thing. There's new receivers. Like, he's got to work with them. So I think that's a big timing issue. I think Mac did look better, like deep balls, than Newton did, but I don't know. I feel like Newton, deserved to be on the team. Maybe start for the first couple 4 or 5 games and see where they're at. But
I would agree, and I felt like the consensus was that Cam was going to get those first few weeks, and when that is the consensus, and then he did get so little time to really showcase that, only a couple drives every game, and then to make a decision based off that. On the flip side of the coin, I think if you were thinking Mac Jones could have been your quarterback, if you're Bill Belichick, I don't think you gave him enough quality reps with ones out there. He played a lot of reps with
that. I thought the timing for that was a little awkward. If in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking Mac's going to be the guy, and then they just didn't really match him up with the ones, and Newton it was a very awkward play style that they came out with.
I agree. If you were basing it just off the playing time, clearly Cam Newton is your starter. He started all 3 games. He did multiple drives each game. He was never pulled after a single drive. And every time Mac Jones came out for the first time, it was with a bunch of other second-string guys. There were some starters here and there, but for the most part, it was very clear that this was the guy, this was your 2 guy, and this was your 1 guy. And then we wake up a couple mornings ago, and he's gone.
Crazy.
So not a good morning for Ryan. Surprising morning for everybody though.
Yeah.
The 2 biggest points I want to make before we jump to our next thing was, first off, no picks or fumbles from Mac Jones. Absolutely huge.
Impressive,
And I know Cam did a pretty good job protecting the ball too, but in more limited time, like we were saying, only a couple drives a game. But he did first drive of the season, or preseason that is, put the ball on the ground. Granted, Chase Young is a beast, probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year if I had to put money. But a fumble's a fumble, and he put it on the ground. Don't want to see that, especially in your own side of the field. And then the pick against New York, very questionable. Great play by the linebacker. 50-50 ball.
His fault at all.
For sure.
Fantastic play out of the defense. So
exactly, and turnover's a turnover, and the number 1 gripe for Bill Belichick has always been protecting the football.
Exactly.
And then the other point was only 1 touchdown pass might look kind of concerning, especially when you match it up with 69% completion percentage, 97.3 QBR, some good stats like that. 1 touchdown's a little concerning, but I just want to point out too, if Muhammad Wilkerson makes that catch, first preseason game, great contested ball. Everybody remembered Mac put it right in his hands. That's 1 touchdown that he missed. And then the N'Keal Harry drop, they get the ball back in the second game right before halftime. Classic Patriots. Got 40 seconds to try to make something happen before halftime. And Mac just delivers perfect loft over the DB, has a step on him, and N'Keal Harry does N'Keal Harry things. And so you just got to wonder, for me it comes down to, I feel like Cam Newton is an elevator to where he can take, last year we didn't have virtually any talent on offense, and you needed a guy to elevate the offense and be that talent, create space, run, do those kind of things. When you brought in the 4 new pass catchers, Bourne, Aguilar, and the 2 tight ends, I feel like you are going back to that model, that sort of Brady model where you need a distributor. You need somebody who can run things efficiently and get it to people with talent. And I feel like Mac Jones just fits that mold way better.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, to an extent at least. I'm just a big believer in Cam. I would have loved for him to, still be on the team, but, Bill did what he thought was best, and I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to see how it goes this year.
Yeah, we'll find out very quickly. New England fans are not forgiving.
No,
if they get blown out in this first week by the Dolphins,
might have some questions.
People will start talking immediately, whether it's warranted or not. That's for sure. And the next thing I want to touch on before we break it down is what we consider our make and break points for the season.
Yep.
For me right now, it's Stephon Gilmore. We just put him on PUP. He's going to be there at least for 6 weeks.
Which is tough.
Tough.
It's a tough loss.
It's not only that he's your best corner, undoubtedly.
it puts everybody else back into their slots.
Yeah.
Now J.C. Jackson can play the two.
Great performance out of him last year. And if he can do what he did last year, then I think we'll be all right. But that's a lot to ask out of him again. And with Gilmore out for 6 weeks, it's a tough task.
Absolutely, yeah, and we don't even really know physically where he's at.
He could be out for longer than that. We have no idea.
Exactly, and when he comes back, he might not be the same player.
Yeah.
You know, a quad is no joke. It's huge muscle, obviously, very important for your explosiveness and your reactions, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can bounce back from it.
Exactly.
I do feel like people have been giving a little too much credit, to be fair, to Steph, though. I still feel like it's going to be a pretty stout defense with or without him.
I think so, too, yeah.
I think he gives them the ability to truly compete and be a top 5 defense.
Yeah, against especially a great offense. I think he's going to be on that wide receiver number 1, and he makes plays. He stays with them. He knocks the balls away and intercepts them. He does what we need. But, him being out for 6+ weeks possibly is not good.
Absolutely. Yeah, just like actually, I already said that, so I'll leave that out. And then, go ahead.
You think he's going to get traded, though?
Do I think he's going to get traded?
Can he get traded on the PUP? Or is that like a injury that you can't?
I'm not sure. Let's say regardless of if he can or cannot be traded on the PUP, would I support trading him? I would, because I think you have a lot more depth at cornerback than people give you credit for. A lot of people say they're really thin at corner, and I really don't see the case. I think John Jones could be an absolute second corner.
I think he's pretty good. I think for what?
I don't think he's a number 1 corner by any, but I think and especially you signed Jalen Mills.
Yep, that's a great signing.
Exactly. So you have people. I feel like you can, and I'm nervous to let Steph get out there and say he does lay an egg physically. Now he has no trade value at all.
Exactly.
So the idea of kind of shipping him now where he is still a lockdown corner, consensus top 3 in the league, you could get a favorable return for somebody who might not really even be able to produce. We don't even know. So
I think I agree with everything you said. I think you keep him, but if there's a trade out there that is like you gotta take it, then you gotta take it,
Yeah, it's really about you need to find something that really does fit your need. I think maybe a young interior backer.
Yeah.
Because
Hightower's
going away. Van Noy is also getting older. You got Judon now for the edge, but even he's 28 or so, something like that. So you have a lot of edge guys like Josh Uche, people like that. Chase Winovich.
He trade talks around him.
Yes, he's been on the bubble quite a bit, but I feel like you have plenty of those edge guys. You really don't have after Hightower and Van Noy cliche. Like, you don't have any... Micah Parsons is rumored in the draft for us a lot. That would have been... You don't have anybody like that. And you don't need somebody like that, but somebody of that mold.
Yeah.
A traditional interior linebacker, I think they could use. If they can get a young, talented one for Steph, I would consider doing that.
I think, I would too. So mine for, this year, the make or break, I think it's really just Mac, to be honest. I think... if he plays well, we play well, and I think the defense will, follow along with the offense. I think they're, top 10 defense in the league. I don't think there's really any doubt about that. I think they're pretty solid. And then the offense, questions still. We don't know what they're going to be, really. So if Matt comes out and lays an egg, then, we're looking at a pretty tough offensive year. But, I think what we saw out of him preseason, it should be all right for us offensively. And I think another big thing, even, on a defensive side of things, I think Hightower coming back, is he going to be, is he going to show his age? Like, he's getting up there. He's going to show being slower and stuff. Or is he going to be, 2 years ago Hightower, 3 years ago Hightower coming back and doing what he normally does? He's
very interesting. One of those guys who sat out last year, and it's just the question of, like you said, is that time going to benefit him or not?
Yeah.
A lot of people have been saying, because Hightower's a guy who's always dealt with a shoulder, always dealt with something.
So maybe this year could benefit him. Hard to ever imagine a year off of football helps you on the field, but it certainly could with somebody like him. I think we saw Cam even last year. I mean, COVID kind of shut things down, but you saw a healthier Cam Newton, and it's because he had that year in Carolina where he was able to kind of rehab, a step
back
and focus on himself. But back to Mac, I think the most reassuring thing for me is, especially out of the top five, the 5 quarterbacks that were selected, but certainly more than even a lot of starting quarterbacks already, I think he has a very high floor, if that makes it. Like, his worst, I really don't think is that bad. Like, he's never going to be somebody who starts rapidly turning the football over.
Yeah.
He's never going to be somebody who starts throwing up Cam Newton completion percentage numbers. Granted, he's never going to save a play where you're going to get sacked and run for 10. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. He's not an elevator, but I do feel like, assuming other people don't drop the ball, figuratively and literally, Mac will be able to be consistent enough and maintain a level where I don't think the success will be dependent on him, per se. I think it's the other people taking it there.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
I think the biggest question mark offensively, well, not biggest, but pretty close, would be the receivers. Mm-hmm. I mean, last year was pretty horrendous, and I think we all can agree with that. Jacoby was about the only good part about the offense in terms of receivers. But, this year we came out and we got those 2 tight ends, Jonnu and Hunter Henry, and I think those 2 guys are going to be huge this year.
Absolutely. Aguilar and Bourne, too.
Exactly, yeah. I thought even, if they kept Cam's a big-time lover of the tight ends. He like back in Carolina, he would have loved loved the what was the guy's, Greg Olsen.
Yes.
I mean, Mac, I think that's a great 2 great targets for him to start his career, because big targets, reliable hands, they can block for him on the line, and then you got the speed guys, you got Aguilar and you got Bourne, and then Jacoby too. Jacoby's been pretty solid.
Very solid. I agree. I think I was very interested when they took those 2 specific receivers and those 2 tight ends specifically, because I always felt that the tight ends were signings for Cam. It made sense. Too. It was the Greg Olsen kind of thing. But as soon as we had Aguilar and Bourne, I'm like, these are guys who need accurate throws to them. They get open, and they're route running guys, and they're reliant on good ball placement. And I'm like, those are Mac guys. So it was very weird where you signed.
I agree. Yeah.
The
thing about them too is they're deep ball guys. They're speedy. They're gonna go down and they're gonna catch the ball deep in the zone. So, I, like you said, kind of a mix of receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then the last thing to wrap it up, I don't have it on here, but pretty popular name, I would say. New England was traded away last week, and Sony Michel helped us win a Super Bowl. Just real quick, thoughts and opinions on the trade, if you have any. I could go first if you want me to break the ice.
Go ahead. I'll finish.
I like the trade. No, I lie. I don't like the trade. I don't hate it, though. I understand you're getting rid of a running back who's not really special compared to other running backs. He's very serviceable and reliable, but he is on the last year of his contract, so I understand. To say we get a 5th and a 6th is very Belichickian. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I believe the 5th has been now upgraded to a 4th, which is and I could be wrong about that, but that's initially what I was after. Was I felt like you could have gotten more for Sony Michel, and at the very least, you plan on being such a run-heavy team here in New England this year. It couldn't hurt to have a very serviceable and reliable back that knows your system, but last thing you can do in this league is let somebody walk away at the end of their contract for free. So
yeah, I agree.
Makes sense.
For me, I had this feeling all offseason that Sony was going to get traded, and he did. what we got in return for him was not my favorite. I don't think he's worth a first or a second or anything like that, but, I feel like could have got something more than,
I initially
a fifth
thought
or
fourth.
what is it, a sixth and a seventh?
I think it was fifth and sixth originally.
Yeah, something like that. I don't mind trading him because I think Harris is better than him. To me, I think he's the clear starter. Mm-hmm. James White, obviously, we got as the receiving back, and he's done what he's done.
I think Michel's a better runner. But overall back, I would agree. I'd rather have White on my roster.
As a receiving back, James White's going to do much more than Sony would.
Absolutely.
And he's getting up in age, so that's also a question mark, but I think you got to roll with him. He's been so consistent over the years. And then Stevenson.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's
flashed.
He's been amazing.
And Taylor's been a mini White.
I was just gonna say that he's been nasty, both of them.
I think Sony Michel is still on this. I don't think it's even a question that Sony Michel is on this team if you don't see those kind of pops.
I agree.
I would even say both of those guys, because if just Taylor or just Stevenson popped off in the preseason, I still think you keep Michel.
I think so too. Because now you got both those guys solidified. They can do something.
Exactly. So, all right. I think that's a good wrap up.
I think that was a solid
for where we're at now. So
conversation. Right there.
Thanks for joining us for our first official episode.
Yep.
Things will get smoother hopefully as we go, as we get used to talking, doing the podcast.
Yep. Should be a weekly conversation podcast. Maybe, just talk about the teams, the performance, and the opponent, all that.
Yeah, there'll be, especially once we get into the season, we have a better idea for the actual structure. We want to spend some time breaking down the game from last week, focusing on the game for next week, and any other little stuff we got going on. But yeah, Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Catch you guys next week.